welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen and this is episode 273. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. This is a podcast about mainly knitting, sewing, and making all the things in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from and I live. And as always, I'm so happy, so excited that you're taking some time to chat about those things with me. And yes, I am coming to you from Brooklyn, as I mentioned. It is a beautiful day out. It is sunny, it is hot, it is in the 80s. Anyway, yeah, I'm kind of itching to get outside a little bit and get some knitting done. Dennis and I, my husband, we are leaving for vacation tomorrow. We're going to Cancun. Cannot wait. And there is a fly. Pardon that interruption. There is a giant fly flying around my dye dungeon. My dye dungeon is what I lovingly call my dye studio slash office slash podcast recording space. And right now I have the doors open because it is so nice out, and I really want to just kind of like air this place out a little bit because yeah, why not? And consequently, I'm getting a fly here and there coming and going out. It comes with the territory. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. As I was saying, yes, administrati. If you would like to follow me on social media, I am at Voolenvine on Instagram, where I'm most active. On Ravelry, I'm Voolenvine as well. And show notes for this episode and every other episode can be found over on the blog, www.yarngasmpodcast.com. Although I will admit I did not provide show notes for last week's episode. I apologize. I'm going to get on that hopefully today. But yes, that is basically where you can find show notes. And what else did I want to say? So, oh yes, before the lovely fly distracted my thoughts. Yeah, I might not be able to podcast next week because Dennis and I are going on vacation tomorrow, a very much needed beach vacation. So very much looking forward to that. But just a little heads up, if I don't podcast next week, I will give another heads up on social media. You will be well in the know. And I also want to mention that there will be no shop update this Friday. Instead, I will talk about more of this in the shop update section, but the next shop update at voolenvineyarns.com will be on Saturday, June 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So it will be an international friendly shop update. So anyway, I think that covers all the major things that I wanted to cover before I get into what I've been making this week. However, it will be a very light episode this week because I have to admit, I have been doing a lot of knitting. However, it's stuff that I can't really talk about or share about, or I can't share on the podcast because they are designs. They are shawl designs that I'm currently working on and having so much fun designing them. However, I will talk a little bit about them. But anyway, yeah, I think that is it for announcements and whatnot. So anyway, let's get into what I've been making. So as I mentioned, I don't have much to write home about this week. This is a very knitting light episode. However, I am working not on one, but on two shawl designs at the moment. So one of them is very close to being complete, and I currently have them housed in my... I am so excited about this, guys. I have been trying... I get a lot of emails from people saying that they've been trying to make updates for my shop and everything. However, stuff sells out super quickly. And guys, thank you so much for anybody who has braved or shopped my updates and has come away with yarn or has at least tried and hasn't given up. It means the world to me. You have no idea, and I'm super grateful. And I wish I had an arsenal of people to help me dye enough yarn so I could give everyone who wanted my yarn the yarn that they wanted without getting cart jacked. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've been getting a taste of my own medicine, if that makes any sense, shopping for this one particular item, because every time that I go to her shop, she sells out like hotcakes. So anyway, I'm very happy to have finally caught an update and come away with one of these amazing bags by Homeroom Fiber Co. Is this not like... words, I can't. Yeah, I think I first caught wind of Homeroom Fiber Co. watching Kemper, who is Raybot on Instagram, and she has the Junk Yarn podcast and Junk Yarns. She's the dyer behind Junk Yarns. And anyway, I was watching one of her podcasts, and she had a t-shirt by Homeroom Fiber Co. and I browsed her website and fell in love with her stuff. And then Emily had been listening to a podcast while helping me out one Monday. She was listening to the Love to Sew podcast, and they interviewed Rochelle of Homeroom Fiber Co. And you know, it's, yeah, I really, really love her products. I love the story behind her products, and they're just so incredibly well made, and really happy that I was finally able to nab one of these project bags from her site. Yeah, it's just 2 hands, knitting needles, and these little things are just darning needles or sewing needles, you know, radiating from the center. And I don't know, I really, really love it. So this has been getting a lot of love, and dare I say, adding a lot of magic to my making this past week. So yeah, I could wax poetic about this project bag. But yeah, so anyway, Rochelle, thank you so much for making awesome stuff. And yeah, if you haven't checked out Homeroom Fiber Co, definitely check her out. She makes a lot, she designs, I forgot to mention that she graphic designs everything. So these are her hands that she illustrated, and she puts so much thought and effort into everything that she makes. So anyway, definitely check out her shop. Again, not endorsed, just a fan. So anyway, yeah, my shawl designs are currently in here. So I kind of gave you a little, if you follow me on Instagram, I gave a little peek at one of the shawl designs. It's primarily black and white, so very monochromatic, but then that kind of like, the idea is that that leaves it open to interpretation. So if you were knitting the shawl, you could choose a combination, 2 contrasting colors, you know, it just kind of leaves room for your imagination to play with, you know, 2 different colors of your liking or choosing. So there's that. And then the other one that I cast on yesterday, since Dennis and I are going away on vacation, I kind of wanted to challenge myself because, you know, girl loves a challenge. So there had been a combination of yarns in my stash that just kept popping out at me, and I was like, those would be so cool together. And now these are not my hand-dyed yarns, but this is Hedgehog Fibers in Skinny Singles in their pollen color, which is this really beautiful, rich kind of golden yellow color. And then this is by Fuse Fiber Studio. I think that's the name of her company, Fuse Fiber Studio, yeah. And I'm blanking on the name of this color. I'll put it in the down bar, but I just thought these two colors play so well together. And I teased this on my Instagram feed a while back. Like, I posted the skeins together, and they were just kind of inspiring me to create something with them of my own design. So finally, I bit the bullet and cast on something with them, and I'm very excited about it because when I said that I wanted to challenge myself to design something, by that I mean that I wanted to challenge myself to design the perfect beach knit, so to speak, like something that's super portable, something that you can whip out on the beach and just knit, not have to think about anything, but still have some kind of interest going. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, and I'm very excited about it. And I have this awesome name for the design in my mind, which has also been inspiring me during the design process and everything. So anyway, I feel like I'm very rambly today, so hopefully you're still with me. But anyway, that is what I have been working on this week. As I mentioned, I was going to take a knitcation. I think Tuesday, I pretty much took the whole day off, focused on my designs and sewing and all the fun stuff that I've been wanting to do. I worked a little yesterday. I did dye some strange brew colors, which are my one-of-a-kind colors. So yeah, I've been like, it's been a light week, but at the same time, a lot happening creatively. So I just wish I could talk more about all that stuff because I'm so excited about it. But something that I can show you that is not as exciting, but still a project, a work in progress, but still a work in progress nonetheless, is a vanilla sock. And yeah, as you are aware, my sock mojo has plummeted to degrees of I don't know what, but my sock mojo has just not been very active, if that makes sense. Anyway, but here's a sock that I have been working on intermittently for like car rides, watching TV with Dennis, and talking on the phone. So yeah, these have come in handy for instances like that. These will be coming along with me on vacation as well, because you know, everyone, when one travels, one does need a trusty sock that you can just pull out and knit on and not have to think too much. So here's where I am on the first sock, and this is my Edinburgh color, the color that was inspired by my trip to Edinburgh this year, and it is on my footsie base, Voolenvine Yarns footsie, and yeah, I love this base so much, you guys. I cannot say more, you know, not to toot my own horn, but love this sock base. It's a little toothy, but at the same time, it's still soft and very sturdy. So anyway, yeah, sock. And I am actually using, believe it or not, magic loop is usually my go-to method for knitting socks. However, I was feeling the DPN vibe for these, so I am using Knitter's Pride Carbons in US size 1.5, 2.5 millimeter needles. And another thing that I was watching Ellie of Skein Deer Knits. She recently put out a podcast, and she was talking about how one of her I don't know if she said it was a pet peeve, but I'll take it as a pet peeve, where she said she doesn't understand why podcasters emphasize needle size when they talk about projects that they're knitting on their podcasts, because that's not really, because everyone's gauge is different. So it really doesn't matter what needle size you're using, it really comes down to gauge. So I totally agree with her. I never really thought about it that way, but it makes perfect sense. So while I might be using a US 1.5 needle or 2.5 millimeter needle to knit my socks to get my perfect fitting sock, you could knit the same exact sock, same stitch count, same needles, and get a completely tighter gauge or completely looser gauge. So yeah, I completely agree with what she said. It really comes down to gauge. So I am going to try next time whenever I podcast, again, this will take a lot of work to like sit there, work out my gauge for each project that I do, but I think that's the most important and most beneficial information to give to viewers wanting to know more information about a project that a podcaster is working on. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, and sometimes needle size does help in the fact that, you know, it's a good starting point. So if you really don't know, you know, you're getting different gauges and you can't figure out which needle to go to, it's good to have kind of like a starting point, you know, if that makes sense. So anyway, Ellie, if you're watching, thank you for that pearl of wisdom. Pun totally intended. So anyway, yeah, that is where I am with that. That was quite the tangent. And here I thought I would have nothing to talk about this week. So anyway, that is it for knitting, unfortunately, or you know, it's not unfortunate, it's just the way it is today. So yeah, that said, I am gonna move along to sewing because there is an elephant in the room. I don't know if you've noticed much. Yes, I am wearing a new handmade item. It is still Me Made May, although I've sadly fallen off the bandwagon of posting about it and cataloging it on my Instagram stories. Unfortunate. That is unfortunate, because I have not been consistent with that and kind of kicking myself about it. But anyway, I have a new handmade item, and this is the Q dress. I can't decide if it's Q or Q, because it's spelled K-E-W, and it's a beautiful pattern, very vintage inspired pattern by Nina Lee, who is a new to me indie sewing pattern designer. And Emily, who is Slow Fashion Rebel, brought up this Make the Trends article that she found on thefoldline.com. I'll post all of this in the show notes. If I don't, reach out to me in the YarnGasm Ravelry thread, which is something else I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode. Okay, yeah. If you have not already, please feel free to join the YarnGasm Ravelry thread. That, again, is like where you can go to ask questions. For example, if I forget to post something in show notes, completely forget to post show notes, that is a place you can go to talk about this episode, every other episode, join in knit-alongs and the like, and ask questions when they arise. So anyway, Yay. Well guys, I am all over the place today. It is, I will admit, I got a late start today. I went for a run in the morning, so that probably explains my peppiness, that and the caffeine. Yeah, so those two hand in hand really make for a very peppy Kristen, apparently. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, so the Q dress. And yeah, I discovered this pattern through Emily mentioning the Foldline article, where you can make, they compiled a whole bunch of, it's super clever. They compile a whole bunch of patterns that are very similar to the current trends that are out there right now. Definitely check it out. It's very inspiring, and Emily says she's gonna make the entire catalog that they provided. So I think she can do it. I really think you can do it, Emily. You can do it. Anyway, but out of all, like, I have to say, like, I think maybe 2 of the patterns that were in there really jumped out at me, including this dress. So I will stand up and so you can see. But yeah, it's very basic. It has like a sweetheart shaped neckline, straps, and buttons down the front. And yeah, some darts up the side, some darts here, darts there, and darts in the back. So I have to say, this was super simple. Pattern is incredibly well written, very simple to construct. It actually says the pattern is suitable for a confident beginner, and I have to agree. However, I did have to fiddle around with the sizing a little bit, and so what do I want to say about that? So, okay, so the smallest size for the bust was a 33. I was okay with that because I am a 32 and I don't want it to be like too form-fitting, so I left the bust alone. However, when it came to the waist, I'm a 26-inch waist, so the smallest waist that they had was a 25, and the one above that was a 27. So I had to kind of finagle the sizing around with that a bit, which in hindsight seems easy. You just kind of true it up. You do the math, you divide the seam allowances by however many seams there are by your waist, and anyway, that's a tutorial for another time. But anyway, the other challenge was that the darts were along the waist. I had to adjust those as well, so do a lot of measuring basically and redrawing of lines. So it's not as complicated as it seemed. It took a little work. However, I was kind of like crossing my fingers that it would work out, and I was very pleasantly surprised that it worked out perfectly because it fits perfect. I love this pattern. This was actually supposed to be a muslin for the other version that I want to make, but it turns out that I really, really love the way that this turned out in the fabric. This is cotton and steel, by the way, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'll stand up again so you can see. They're little kittens, little kitten faces with whiskers, and I love the fact that up close they look like kittens, but from far away it just looks kind of like some kind of geometric design, so it could be anything. And I really wasn't thinking about that when I bought the fabric. I just thought it was the cutest thing, so I bought it, and then looking at the fabric, I'm like, this might be a little too kitschy for me. However, after sewing it with this pattern, I think the print and the pattern go so well together. So I'm really pleasantly surprised that this turned out so well. I think the one thing that I would change the next time is maybe move the straps just a little bit closer. I don't know, it fits fine, it aligns with my bra straps perfectly, but I think it could do with like a little shift closer in, but that's not a problem. So yeah, and I will try and post a photo of the full length dress here, because the dress does have like this asymmetrical hemline. So the skirt is knee length in the front and then a little bit longer in the back. So it's kind of like a mullet dress, really. And it's our friend, the motorcycle man. So anyway, he's taken off, thankfully, and we can continue with the magic that he's making. So anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say about this. Yeah, I was hoping to make another version of this dress before we leave tomorrow morning. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I wanted to record a podcast, but I'm gonna see if I can make it happen. We'll see. yeah, because I think I could probably bang out one of these in about like 2.5 hours. I think it's possible. I think it's just the cutting that will take time. So that's like an hour there. So I would say total 4.5 hours to make one of these, at the max, I think. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I really do want to take some time and get outside and knit a little bit, work on my designs. And anyway, yay. But yeah, as you'll notice, this also has buttons. It has about 15, it's a 15 button down dress. I've made buttonholes on skirts, but that was only like one button. I've never made this many buttons down the front of a garment before. And I have to say, I kind of like making buttonholes. Not the act of sewing on buttons, but making buttonholes. There's something really fun about that. I like the little, how you get to switch the dial on the machine and then use the, I use the, a seam ripper to cut out the, to slice the center of the buttonhole. So after you finish making a buttonhole, you actually have to open up the center. And I do that by taking a seam ripper and, inserting the seam ripper at the base of the buttonhole and ripping up to the center, and then flipping it around and inserting the seam ripper from the top of the buttonhole and ripping down towards the center, so as not to, because in the past, learning from experience, when you just seam rip from the base of the buttonhole all the way up, you run the risk of kind of going off course. So a wonderful viewer a while ago, I'm so sorry I'm blanking on your name, but this was going a while back when I made my octopus dress. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but that was a disaster. I still have it, I just haven't worn it because it really doesn't fit very well. But again, the beauty of making muslins, you live and you learn. But yeah, a wonderful viewer informed me of that is one way that you can safely open up a buttonhole. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that, and I got these buttons. They're just simple black 1/2-inch buttons that I got from my local fabric store. These guys have absolutely nothing. I cleaned them out of their basic black buttons. I got 15 for $4. So yeah, they're tiny. They don't have much in there. They have the basics. So they still don't have interfacing. And when I did go in there for interfacing to see if they had it, the guy running the store thought it was like the latest craze. It wasn't even the right interfacing like for sewing. It was just some random brand of interfacing that you would never use for sewing. He goes, oh, this is the latest rage. And I'm like, not the interfacing I'm looking for. Anyway, going off tangent again. But yeah, so very happy with my Q dress. I'm gonna call it the Q dress just because it sounds more appropriate. I don't know, let me know what you think, guys. Again, I'm never the authority on pronouncing. There are so many different ways to pronounce words. So you say potato, I say potato, tomato, tomato, Q dress, go figure. But yeah, open to interpretations. So yes. Okay, so that is it for sewing this week. And if you, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, no shop update tomorrow, Friday. I'll try and send out a newsletter at some point today, but the next shop update will be on Saturday, June 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And as I mentioned, that will be a international friendly update. So anyone can shop it. It's just at a different time compared to my normal shop updates on Friday. So just a little heads up, but I will be back with some favorite colors. I've been dyeing, as I mentioned, I have been dyeing this week. So mainly a lot of Strange Brews. Again, it's like I'm in vacation mode, so I just want to have fun in the dye pot. Not that I don't normally have fun in the dye pot, but it kind of gives my creativity a chance to play and explore new color combinations and everything. I really have a lot of fun dyeing Strange Brews, so you know, and it seems like you guys really enjoy them as well. And yes, by the way, I sent out all of the Strange Brew yarn clubs this past week, or Emily did, and it seems like a lot of you have received them, and they have been received very well. You know, thank you so much to everybody who subscribed to the yarn club. It was, again, I really enjoyed dyeing up Strange Brew colors. They're so much fun, and I love the element of surprise that comes along with the yarn club. So, and I guess you guys do too. So anyway, I'm rambling on at this point. So that said, I am gonna move along to Blather, which is a segment where I chat about what's been going on in my life, should you care to stick around. So yeah, going on vacation tomorrow, very excited. And I'm sure I'll post photos on Instagram. Again, that is where I tend to post the most when I'm not chatting with you guys here. So yeah, there is that. Running has been going well. I've been sticking to my every other day. Here and there I'll have a little hiccup and I don't actually make it onto the treadmill. That, you know, I'll miss a day, but I'll get back on it the next day. Some days are a little harder than others, like today. That is why I'm recording later today, because I wanted to make it onto the treadmill today. So but I think because it's getting warmer, I'm still doing my same routine where it's like 30 minutes of interval running. So walking at a high paced speed for 2 minutes and then running at a high paced speed for 2 minutes on and off. Some days are easier than others. I don't know what it is. It might be because the weather is getting warmer. However, yeah, I did invest in a little fan because there's no air conditioning down here right now. We have a portable one that I'm gonna put in at some point, but it's not gonna reach all the way to the back room where the treadmill is. So I did invest in one of those clip-on fans, so that has been helping me quite a bit. But at the same time, I don't know, it's just I'm getting winded like midway, and yeah, again, some days are better than others, but I'm not giving up. It's going really well, but yeah, so that is running. I'm trying to think what else. So for those of you who are wondering about the feral kittens in our backyard, they are doing very well. And I just want to say, I have been receiving a lot of messages from people saying that I should capture the mama cat and have her and her kitten spayed and neutered, and I completely agree. I would love to be able to do that. And however, I will say that where they are currently situated right now, it's not on our property and we don't have access to it. So we can see them, but we can't get to them. And they are on the property next door to us, which is it's a rental building. So they have a lot of Airbnb people in there coming and going, and the landlord, we can never get a hold of him. And even if we did, we don't think that he would really care that there's like a litter of kittens behind it. He would probably just, honestly, we don't want to deal with this guy. But yeah, I have been keeping an eye on them, and if they do happen to wander onto our property, yeah, Dennis and I are all about helping to capture them and get them spayed and neutered and off to you know, a good home where they are taken care of and they don't have to wander the streets looking for food and who knows what else. So anyway, believe me, I really want to help the kittens. So, but right now it's just kind of like, it's very difficult to get to them. So, but yeah, they are doing well. They're getting so big. And the one that we rescued is, yeah, anytime like Dennis is mowing the lawn or I'm out there, you know, they just come up to the fence and like poke their heads out. They're so cute. So anyway, thank you so much for all of your concern. And yeah, they're just, I'm gonna miss them. Like when they grow up and disperse, I don't know. Hopefully we can do something for their situation. But yeah, it's a little tricky situation right now. So, but yeah. And there is, a lot of you recommended this really great video by the kitten lady. I think that's her name. I'll post it in the down bar and I will link to it in the show notes. But it's this really great video that shows you how to capture a mama cat and her kittens and go through the whole process of spading and getting them spayed and neutered and making sure, you know, that they're in a controlled environment and they can, the mama cat can safely raise her kittens without being separated from them. So, yeah, so I also want to say, like, the mama cat has been coming into our yard, but I feel like if I were to capture the mama cat, she would not be able to get back to her kitten. So that's another thing that I also took into consideration. So I want the mama cat to be able to go back to her kittens because she's their source of food. So if we take the mama cat away from her kittens and get her spayed and neutered, the poor little kittens are kind of left to fend for themselves. So there's also that to consider. But anyway, a lot of kitten talk. So that said, I think that is it for this week. I'm gonna leave it there. So that said, thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out with me, chatting about stuff that I've been making. And yeah, if you'd like to get in touch with me, leave a comment below. If you liked this podcast, please like and subscribe. And I will have so much more to chat with you next time. So happy knitting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.